I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 11 years old in middle school, and it was January, the winter time, so I didn't have sports at the time, so I had a lot of time to figure out how this would work with sports and how my numbers are going to fluctuate all the time and what I had to do. I talked to so many doctors. I talked to doctors who specialized in sports with young kids with diabetes. And by the time soccer season came around, it was a big change, but I managed to figure it out game by game, practice by practice. Around my junior year in high school, which was years after my diagnosis, my mom started getting messages on Facebook, and people started asking my parents or asking me if I was able to talk to younger kids about this diagnosis, if they were diagnosed, and how to manage it with sports. There was a young girl around 6 years old who just got diagnosed, and she was on the soccer team. Soccer was her whole life, and she was having a really hard time with this diagnosis. So her coach reached out to my dad and me, and I kind of went through the coach to talk to her, and I told her that it's going to be tough and you have to take it game by game. Every day is going to be different, but I was a varsity starter at the time. I told her, she came, watched my games, and yeah, I pretty much inspired her to keep pushing with soccer and keep going with it. And then her mother started talking to other people through Facebook groups or other connections, and they reached out to my mom on Facebook. And my mom would help the parents with how to deal with it because they were younger kids, and my mom mainly helped me when I was younger. And then I would talk to the parents and family about how I did it. And I know everyone is going to be different, like from our ages to our diabetes. It's always going to be different, but I pretty much gave them a rundown on how I figured things out to help inspire their daughter to keep pushing with soccer and sports. With so many people starting to reach out, it really encouraged and inspired me to keep my diabetes in the best shape it can be, because I know how detrimental it can be towards my body if I don't take care of it properly. And seeing these young girls look up to me and me being their role model, it really pushed me to be better and get my sugars where they have to be and play the best game I can with this setback. I want to be the best I can be so that they can be the best they can be, and show them that this can't define you, and you can keep pushing through and playing sports and being a normal teenager kid. With sports and exercise, it tends to lower your blood sugar. So before games or before practices, I have a certain range that personally works for me, and it took years for me to figure out what this range has to be. And it still depends on the day to day. But so I eat a couple hours before the game so that my numbers can stay steady. I have a big protein like peanut butter, something like that, to keep my sugars steady throughout the game or throughout the practice. And I tend to be on the higher end before games so that if my sugars do run low, they won't go super low where I have to get out of the game. But then again, there are those days where that doesn't work for me and my sugars will go crazy and I just have to step off the field, have a juice box or give some insulin, and then I'll be back on the field. But it's definitely a day-to-day thing. Diabetes is hour by hour, minute by minute. It can fluctuate whenever, and a lot of outside forces can change that. Sometimes the weather, if it's too hot, can lower my blood sugar, so I have to take the weather into account. Adrenaline, maybe before a big game, I'm nervous, my adrenaline's going up. Adrenaline can also higher blood sugar, so I have to take that into account too. But over years of experience, I've definitely got it under my belt, and I like to inform other kids on how to do the same that I did.